This is Black Radio Hamzamo family, welcome to the 54 Correspondence here on the Black Fire Network Media for the 21st century on the 14th day of the month of September, the year 2021. I want to say karibuni sana to the broadcast. On the 54 Correspondence Show, we get to discuss different issues happening across the beautiful continent of Africa, whether be it social economic matters, political matters, environmental matters, technological matters, and other diverse topics, and with a view of getting to add value to the conversations around matters to do with all these things that are happening in Africa at the moment. We also do get to cover historical matters on the broadcast, but for today we shall be focusing on current matters. In as much as you might maybe get to highlight a few of the things that have taken place historically, our focus for today will be on the current matters and what is happening on the continent of Africa. If I was Jamaican, I would actually just say what a go on Africa, which is what's going on in Africa. We do have some of the family from Jamaica, for example, Samuel from Clarendon, and he might get to understand a thing or two about that patois. Is it patois? Yeah, that is, I believe it's patois. When you do say what a go on Africa, meaning what's going on in Africa, that is the business that we are about right here on the 54 Correspondence Show. Getting to let you know what's going on in Africa, what's happening in different parts of the continent, whether be it in Southern Africa, which is our focus for today, or whether be it also other parts of Africa, such as Nigeria, West Africa, East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, the northern part of Africa, which entails Egypt, Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, and all the 54 countries on the continent of Africa. Some people might consider calling them 55, yes. In case you do get to recognize Sahrawi or Western Sahara as a nation as well, you can also get to call it 55. But for the purposes of our show, we get to use 54 states or the 54 correspondents on the Black Fire Network Media for the 21st century. There are some countries, I believe even Guinea, Alpha Conde had recognized the former president of Guinea, who is Alpha Conde. I think he's one of the few people that had recognized the Western Sahara as being an independent country. The president of South Africa, who we shall be discussing about today, Cyril Ramaphosa, is also another individual that is also known to have identified or recognized Western Sahara or Sahrawi as a nation on the continent. So it depends on who you ask. If you do ask Alpha Conde how many countries we have on the continent, he will tell you 55. If you get to ask Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, how many countries we have on the continent, he might as well tell you 55. But like I said, for the purposes of the broadcast for today, we shall be discussing about the 54 states on the continent of Africa. Morocco, the government of Morocco does not recognize the sovereignty of Sahrawi. And therefore, if you ask the president or the leaders in Morocco about the numbers of countries on the continent, he will tell you that it's 54 countries because they recognize Sahrawi, or they really get to take Sahrawi or Western Sahara as part of Morocco. And you realize that when the French was ruling, or when the French was running parts of Morocco and the northern parts of Africa, they also did have a dispute because they wanted, they did not really want Sahrawi or Western Sahara to also have its own sovereignty. They also wanted it to be part of Morocco so that they can continue running it under Morocco. But that is political affairs for another day. Today, I do not want to talk about Sahrawi and the relationship between Sahrawi and Morocco. It's a difficult kind of a relationship because it's Morocco wanting to run Sahrawi and Sahrawi wanting to run its own affairs independently, which is also happening in other different parts of the continent. For example, if we talk about Biafra is part of Nigeria. And at some point, there were some leaders on the continent of Africa that had also recognized Biafra as an independent state. But that did not happen to be. There was a war that took place in the late 1960s. The 1960s, yes, the late 1960s, I believe from 67 to 1970, when there was a Biafra conflict, and the army that wanted, the army, there was part of the Nigerian army that had defected and they wanted to run Biafra. They made a different kind of a separate kind of an army, and they were fighting for the liberation of Biafra. But that particular fight was a crash. The movement did not last for long. It lasted for about 3 years, which I believe when you're fighting for a cause, 3 years is really quite a short time. But there was a lot of lives that were lost during the Biafra movement in 1967 to 1970s. That is why you will find some people even till today agitating for Biafra to be an independent state, just like I was talking about Sahrawi or Western Sahara. This is a country with two names, Sahrawi or Western Sahara. But for Biafra, they did not get to succeed. Other parts of the continent also include Togo, where we have had liberation of movements fighting so that they could be independent, or they could have their own smaller nations, autonomous regions. Like I was talking about, even in Togo, you will find some parts of Togo, some different factions wanting to fight and have an autonomous country separate from Togo. Togo is too tiny even to divide it into two countries. It's very, very tiny. We also do have countries such as Djibouti and Eritrea. I believe at some point they were part of what we do call Ethiopia today, but they decided to secede and run their own independent affairs as two tiny countries. If you go to Eritrea, I don't know. Personally, I have never been to Eritrea, but I understand that if you go to Eritrea, you will find this is like a small Italy. It's like you are in Italy, but it's in Africa, because the Italians do get to run their affairs in Eritrea. You will find all the kind of religious, the way they run things in Italy, also being the way they run things for religion, the Catholicism in Eritrea as well. I will be sharing a little bit of a video from Eritrea so that you can see this is not a lie. They call it the small Italy. They call it the small Italy on the continent of Africa, but I believe they should have just remained as part of Ethiopia, because the tiny you are, the more divided you are, the more easily it is to be conquered. And that is why you will find all these foreign forces wanting to have bases in Djibouti and Eritrea. For example, I understand there are so many foreign bases, military bases in Eritrea and Djibouti, simply because these countries they're not as powerful, being tiny as they are. Eritrea and Djibouti, being tiny as they are, they do not have really a lot of power, in terms of political power, because you also need numbers. For it to be powerful, there is also the element of numbers, but they are not there. Brother Lando Winter, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. You say Africa doesn't need recognition from any white Arab-run country in Africa. The Africans should recognize that themselves. I agree with you. And I was saying that Alpha Conde, who is a former president of Guinea, before he was deposed about 2 weeks ago, about less than a month ago, he had also recognized Western Sahara to be part of an independent country. And also the same with Cyril Ramaphosa. Earlier last year, there was a meeting between Cyril Ramaphosa and the president of the leader of Western Sahara, or Sahrawi, and they had a bit of bilateral talks. in regards on how South Africa can help in the building up of Western Sahara, or what we call Sahrawi. The people of Western Sahara, they are known as Sahrawi people, and there was some talks towards that. So I will share two videos, a little bit about what is going on with Eritrea, so you can see the comparison between Eritrea and Italy, and also a little bit over that bilateral talks between Cyril Ramaphosa and the leader of Sahrawi, before we go into the matters of the day, because there's a lot of pandemonium, if you do ask me, right now on the continent of Africa, especially around matters to do with these COVID passports. We shall be talking about it as we proceed, but let me share with us briefly on the matter of the small Italy in Africa. And you will see these people, they do not really have the control of their country. You might think that the people of Eritrea are able to run their affairs independently. You will find there is not a lot of independence in terms of the thought, in terms of the structures, in terms of how the government is run in that country. You will get to realize that this is some sort of a small Italy on the continent. Let me share this video, two videos, and then we shall get back into the matters. General Mosquito, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. You say in the afternoon spikes, I am sneaking here in here for a bit. It's all good. I understand that duty calls and you have to hit the plantation, and therefore I understand it's about that is about 15 minutes to 3 p.m. or 15 minutes to 1 p.m. in the UK. So I understand you might also be making a dash for your lunch break. I don't know what you all up to, but thank you so much for taking a minute all to join us on the Black Financial 54 Correspondence show. There was a brother, we used to have a brother from Uganda. I cannot really remember the name of the brother from Uganda. What was his name? He used to join us on the 54 Correspondence show, and then he started talking crazy to everyone, and then he left. What was his name? Do you remember the Ugandan brother? Elias, I think his name was Elias Money. That is a brother. He used to join us on the broadcast, and he also used to share a little bit of an info on what is happening now with matters to do with Uganda. But then again, he disappeared after speaking crazy. He disappeared. That was Elias Money. But let me share with you a little bit of what happens with the country known as Eritrea on the continent of Africa. And you will see these people are really not independent in thinking or even independent in doing anything. This is what happens with the nation right there. We have also a bit of hits with connectivity. It's a bit slow, but I hope that we shall still be able to steer through and have a wonderful show without these hitches.
What is it? He's selling rolls of Italian coins? Ravioli. What did you get? Lasagna? I got the same thing. It's so good. Benvenuti in Eritrea. As an Italian, what do you think about Asmara?
Yeah, it looks really, really Italian. I had the best spaghetti and pizza that I ever had outside Italy.
Wait a second. Italy in Africa? Okay guys, the wait is over. My huge trip to 18 countries in Africa begins now, and I will be on the continent for the rest of the decade. First stop, Eritrea. If you're like me, you're probably scratching your head right now. Perhaps you've heard the name Eritrea before, or maybe you know a thing or two about it. But I bet that many of you have no idea what's happening here, so you're in for a real treat, because this country is as unique as they come. Let's dive right into it. Eritrea is a country smaller than Oklahoma, sitting on the Horn of Africa, bordering Sudan, Ethiopia, Djibouti, and the Red Sea, not far away from Yemen. About 5 million people call this land home, which gained independence from Ethiopia on the exact day I was born, May 24th, 1991. So where does Italy fit into the picture? Let's rewind the clock back to the year 1882. The Italians rolled up on the shore and formed small settlements in Eritrea. As more Italians came, more roads and buildings were built, turning the capital of Asmara into one of the most charming towns in Africa. This is the main boulevard here, Liberation Avenue. Even though the Italians have been out for 45 years now, it's unbelievable how well preserved their influence remains. The colonial architecture brings me right back to...
You will find a lot of assimilation of the Eritrean people, because in terms of the way they eat and you know, their culinary traits, you will find that they will follow the food of the Italians. That is why you're hearing about lasagna and all these other different kind of pastries that they do get to eat in Eritrea. The influence is still there. I was saying in terms of thinking and doing, they conduct their affairs as Italians, because they still are colonizing
Florence or Milano. When you see that building behind me, you really think you're in Europe, but we are in Africa. There are pizza and pasta restaurants galore, cafes to serve you tasty cappuccinos. Wow, that looks amazing. Gelato, gelato, gelato. The bicycle culture to get from point A to point B. The super old Italian cars everywhere on the roads. So we are hitching a ride in a 1963 Fiat? Is it a Fiat?
No, Renault.
Renault. What do you like so much about your trio?
The weather, the peace, beautiful woman, yes.
Liquor shops serving you the best Italian spirits, aperitivos, and even many of the people here, especially the older generation, can speak and understand Italian fluently.
La macchina che va dappertutto. A car that goes anywhere.
Oh, this car?
Yeah, this car.
That's awesome. Eritrea feels like you step back in time, back 30 or 40 years, because here, time just stands still. Hello. How are you? It's a cash-only society, and there are no ATMs or credit cards accepted. People still use payphones to make calls. Many of the cars are old and rustic. There aren't any modern buildings, and the people are so diverse, with 9 ethnic groups speaking 10 official languages. There's never a dull moment to wander these streets, and even though they're very shy, I've received nothing but smiles and warm hospitality.
Wow, name Drew.
Drew, what a cool place. I'm really excited to dig deeper into this fascinating hidden culture over the next few days. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
That is a bit of what goes on with Eritrea, in case you're wondering, and you can see that apart from being a colonizer physically in the early days, even these days people having a colonizer in their minds. They will speak a lot of Italians, drink a lot of cappuccino, and have a lot of pastries for themselves, and among other different things that they get to practice that you would find being practiced in other parts of Italy. But nonetheless, I hope that you are doing well, and I want to thank everyone for joining us on the broadcast. We have a bit of a problem with that camera, but I hope that we shall be able to also resume and have it back. You were saying that I have never seen a Ugandan in the chat. Then I think you joined us a little bit late. There was a brother known as Elias Money, all the way from Uganda, and he had moved. I think he had moved to, I don't know what state he was in, but I haven't seen him ever since. I think he fell apart with the rest of the family, and after speaking smack. You're saying I have never seen a Uganda in the chat, and also what's up, General Muslim, that is Alanda Winter, who is saying hello to you. I hope that everything is well for you and your family as well. Let me see if I can get the camera to work, family. Yeah, I do. I think it's back and it's working. Thank you. There's a lot of black people in Italy. I've also seen so many of these Italians in Mombasa, in the coastal towns in East Africa. You will find a lot of Italians in Mombasa. You'll also find a lot of Italians in Dar es Salaam. They are still infatuated with these coastal towns because at some point they used to also like to come freely and also take slaves from these different towns. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a couple of mafia families in Eritrea. But nonetheless, that is a little bit of Eritrea. I also wanted to touch on what was happening with the bilateral talks. Sometimes back, the bilateral talks between Cyril Ramaphosa and the president of or the leader of Sahrawi, and then we shall go into the matters of the day a little bit into that. So let me share a little bit of what was happening with the Sahrawi situation, because I was saying a little bit earlier, depending on who you ask, some individuals might tell you that we do have 54 countries, and some other individuals you might ask ask them, they will tell you have 55 countries, and I was saying 55 countries would have to be Sahrawi or Western Sahara, which is also considered to be part of Morocco. Just like some years back, before 1991, Eritrea was also considered to be part of Ethiopia, but they gained their independence from Ethiopia in 1991, and after that they have been independent. They have been an independent country, but most of their affairs are right there are really sort of run by
Ramaphosa tomorrow.
It's like they're run by the Italians. So there was a meeting that was organized by the Southern African Development Corporation. And this meeting was meant to deliberate on the status of Western Sahara as being an independent country. You will find out that most countries in Southern Africa, the Southern African Development Corporation states, they also do recognize the independence or the sovereignty of Sahrawi. But that is also not the case for Morocco. Morocco and the Northern African Arab countries, they do not recognize the sovereignty or the independence of Sahrawi. But there was a meeting that did take place. I think this was about 3 years ago. But let me share these on what the deliberations were regarding Sahrawi and why it's important that maybe perhaps we could have, the change over into 55 countries, but also have an African unity that brings in these 55 states under one common or central government, because that would also be a thing that would catapult Africa to the next level in maybe a couple of years, if that was decided upon. But let me share these real quick so that you can see what was going on in a couple of years back.
Ramaphosa tomorrow, and it's going to be the second visit by Brahim Ghali to South Africa.
The two leaders will review, they say, bilateral cooperation between the two countries.
President Ghali is on a four-nation visit to several countries. These include Namibia, Botswana, Lesotho, and South Africa. The visit also comes ahead of the AU summit in Mauritania on the 25th of June. The issue of the occupation of Western Sahara by Morocco remains top of the AU agenda. The Western Sahara has been on the decolonization agenda of the UN and AU for more than 50 years. It's the longest unresolved conflict in the continent with no resolution to ease the problem on side, and it remains a major concern for South Africa. The calls on the UN has not yielded any solution.
The matter, mind you, has gone.
This was President Mugabe, former president of Zimbabwe. Of course, he died. This was a couple of years back, but he was also of the opinion of getting to liberate Sahrawi from Morocco, because there has been a Moroccan occupation of Sahrawi, and they have refused to really recognize the sovereignty of the Sahrawi people in, because they are just neighbors, but Morocco considers Sahrawi to be under its own control and influence. I think it's like a situation where we do have China and Taiwan. It's like a situation like that where we have Taiwan not really being given its own, not being allowed to run its own affairs independently. So this is the same kind of situation we do have with Sahrawi
nations. But it's been a matter that has been raised within the AU and outside.
This failure draws attention to the continuing responsibility of the United Nations and the African Union to discharge their responsibilities properly to conclude this long outstanding matter.
The AU also began the debate with calls on Morocco to heed to a referendum. At the time, the country was not admitted to the AU.
We have been waiting for the referendum, and Morocco has been resisting that, the holding of a referendum.
President Ghali conceded they are facing a military state which shows no intention to end its occupation. We believe that in ending the occupation, this will be in the interest of both countries. The prolonged suffering of the people of Western Sahara and the lack of progress in finding...
You can see the map where we do have Western Sahara right here. This is Mauritania and Morocco, or takeover of Western Sahara. All these two countries, you have Morocco and Mauritania really having a bit of resistance to giving this country its own sovereignty. But of course, that has led to the wars that have been going on, led by these Sahrawi forces that fight for the independence of Sahara for a long time. I think this is, like you had earlier, one of the longest overdue issues that has not really been sorted out. It should have been sorted out many years ago, but Mauritania and Morocco really want this area to be, under their control, because I believe there are also resources to be found in this country.
A durable solution to the struggle for self-determination in the territory on the basis of international legality remains a major concern for the South African government.
The slow pace, if it is a slow pace at all,
of the UN to implement its decision or resolution that every country must have its own self-determination.
Morocco was eventually admitted to the AU, much to the dismay of Polisario Front.
We are fully ready to start the debate with our neighbors, the Moroccans, to look for a solution to our long-standing conflict.
South Africa has called on the AU to effectively implement its roadmap on the resolution of Western Sahara as per AU agreement of 2017 to end the occupation. The two countries will exchange views on regional and global issues, particularly.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe even until today, that self-determination has not been granted to the people of Sahara. I might be mistaken, but that has not been given to the people of Western Sahara, or the Sahara people to really run their affairs independently. But nonetheless, I want to go into other different issues, which is current affairs, things that are taking place on the African continent. And sometimes back, there was a report that I think Keith did bring to our attention, and this has to do with child trafficking on the continent of Africa. What did happen with that particular matter is that there was a plane that was really found trafficking children in the Central Africa Republic, and this is a matter that, of course, has, they did get to escape from the public eye, but right now things are going back the same direction that they used to be. And there has been the rescuing of about 374 children, and this is in Burkina Faso. They have been rescued from child traffickers. This is in Western Africa. The nation of Burkina Faso, of course, is in Western Africa, and they have been, the authorities have rescued 374 children between January and March from being trafficked to neighboring countries to work in agriculture or small-scale mines. The government figures were released, and for some time now they're saying that the phenomenon affecting children has grown worrying proportions in the country were intercepted through checks on buses or through denunciation. According to the ministry, most of the children were under 16 and destined to work in plantations, artisanal mines, or for domestic work in countries neighboring Burkina Faso. And this is really the lowest level that a country really, if a nation or the government of a country is not really able to defend its children or take care of its children, then I don't think any kind of a development can be achieved in a country such as Burkina Faso, where the government has also failed on its responsibility to take care of children. And let me just share these real quick so that you can also see, because this also goes hand in hand with the organ harvesting. You will find some of the children are going missing and the reports being made, and some of them will never be found after that. Let me share these real quick, and then we shall go on to other different updates.
Burkina Faso says it rescued 374 children from traffickers, taking them to work in neighboring countries between January and March this year. For some time now, this phenomenon affecting children has grown to worrying proportions in our country. In the first quarter of 2021, 374 children have already been intercepted, according to data collected by the General Directorate of Family and Childhood. A total of 58 children have been handed over to social services by our security forces during operations to secure the territory since the beginning of the security crisis. Last year, 2,318 children were intercepted through checks on buses and other transportation, according to the ministry. Most were under 16 and destined to work in plantations, artisanal mines, or for domestic work in countries neighboring Burkina Faso.
These are kind of a shame with the government such as that will not be able to even take care of the children. And because of the fighting in these areas, I always do say when you do have a fighting in West Africa or the Sahara region, you find that the children and the women are actually affected the most. They bear the bigger burden of this particular war, which has nothing to do with them. And that is why you will find that numbers being reported are very, very high. They have talked about 2,300 and something children from last year being put, or they have been abducted, and they have been trafficked to go and work in plantations, and that means that the childhood has actually been stolen away from them. They cannot be able to achieve their potential in life if they have been taken away. They do not know where their parents are. They do not know what's going on with them, and most of them are put in enslavement kind of situations. If they have been taken to these plantations to go and maybe harvest a crop, or maybe do other different kinds of slave duties, it means the government of Burkina Faso has failed, and so has the other governments. You will go to Mali, go to Burkina Faso, go to Cameroon, some parts of Cameroon, also go to Chad, go to the Central African Republic. The governments in these particular countries have failed the people, and also the people have failed because I believe it's not just a responsibility of the government, but it's also the responsibility of the communities to make sure that the children are actually being protected. That is one of the biggest roles that the government and also the communities do have, to make sure that they are protecting the children in their communities, not just allowing people to come up and take them and enslave them, take them to plantations and put them there for working in bad conditions, where some of them might not even survive, because if you will find some being very, very young, I believe from the age of 10 to 16. So you will find some of them not even barely being able to survive. And even after they make it, their lives will not be the same, because they'll have that particular trauma and psychological impacts, psychological effects on their minds. So they will not be able to be holistic beings or holistic individuals because of that particular trauma and the kind of a torture that they have been taken through, being removed from their home countries and being taken to the neighboring countries. There is a culture shock. There is a lot of changes. When you're taken from your country and you're a child and you're taken to another different place and you are forced to work there, of course, one of the things is that there's a bit of a challenge with adaptability of the weather, or let me just call it the climate, because if you're moving from this place to another different place, there's that particular kind of an aspect. And also, some of them, you will find them being mistreated to the level that they will not even survive. If they are to catch any kind of a diseases, then you know how that particular one happens. They might not get the right kind of a medical attention for them to be able to survive through this difficult situation. So the government of Burkina Faso should be ashamed, and much more should be done to make sure that the child protection is one of the agendas with that particular government. Anyhow, moving a little bit further from that, I want to take us also into the neighboring country. This is also another West African nation. I always do say that if the 54 Correspondence show was a soap opera, then Nigeria would also feature a lot, and it would be one of the main protagonists, or and as well as South Africa and Kenya and Ghana. That is where most of the action happens, right here on the African continent. You will not hear me speaking much into what is happening in Togo or Djibouti or Lesotho or Swaziland, but you'll find most of the action on the continent of Africa. Even if you're to go on Twitter or go onto other different social media platforms, you will find people from Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa making the most noise. You will find a lot of news coming from those different countries, either be it positive or negative. Most of the time, you'll find news being negative, but we also aspire to be objective on the Black Hotspur Network and also report on positive things happening. This is not a positive story, but in Nigeria, there have been the growing cholera outbreak, and of course, they have also said that the COVID numbers have really also gone up. It's really, really a shame to see that the country, which is known to have some of the best doctors, has also failed. The healthcare system in these countries has failed, and that is why you will find that there is not a lot of proper healthcare. There's not proper healthcare in this particular country. They are saying that Nigeria is seeing one of the worst cholera outbreaks in years, with more than 2,300 people dying from suspected cases, as Nigeria struggles to deal with the impact alongside coronavirus pandemic. The total of 69,925 suspected cholera infections had been recorded as of September 5th. And in 25 out of the 36 states in Nigeria and the capital Abuja, according to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, at least 2,323 people have died linked to the disease so far in 2021. That's quite a high number of people having to deal with cholera and other things. Like the children between the age of 5 and 14 are the most affected group, and this is a current health crisis facing Nigeria. When you look at the healthcare sector on the continent, in Nigeria, there are some parallels that are drawn between this country and the DRC Congo. In the DRC Congo, you'll also find the same kind of problem going on with the DRC Congo. You'll hear about an Ebola outbreak, and then after a while, the healthcare system is also crushed by another outbreak of cholera and things like that. But the thing that is failing the most is the leadership, the proper leadership in these nations. If Buhari was to focus on improving the healthcare system, for Buhari, when he gets sick, they fly him out. They take him to the UK for treatment. Last year, he was in the UK for treatment for about 3 months. Was it last year or last year about one? It might have been 2019. Yes, he was out in the UK for about 3 months, and he has no guts. Even having to travel and use the people's money, he should have at least have the humanity for him to also invest in the healthcare system in Nigeria, so that we can also have other people. We could have had these lives being saved. The 2,300 and some 323 lives, they could have been saved from dying from cholera if there was a proper healthcare system. And also, there is a problem with sanitation and poverty. In most areas, you will find that there are causes of cholera, and of course, you will find that, like the water that they are getting to consume. This is not clean drinking water. You will find that the water has actually been contaminated by different materials, and for the better part of the population, not many people are able to access clean drinking or consumption water, and therefore that is also another big challenge that perhaps would have been addressed, because there are rivers in Nigeria. We do have the river, the river Niger, which is a lifeline of many different people in West Africa, for example, people in Nigeria, people in Niger. But you will find that getting home water, which is tapped water, it's very difficult, and this also has to go back to the matter of poverty. The government has not put in place proper structures that will help people get empowered economically, so that they can be able to remove themselves from poverty. That is not what is happening. The environment there is not enabling, because if you don't have security, that is the biggest challenge that you'll also go back to. If you don't have security, then how can people focus on developing their lives? How can people focus on improving their lives? It would be very difficult, because when people wake up, you are not sure whether you have this village getting attacked. You are not sure whether you will see the next day without you and your property is still assured of people not coming and destroying your property. You not have that particular kind of an assurance. So even things like farming are also really difficult. And the country, Nigeria, is a country that is one of the largest exporters. One of the largest exporters of oil on the continent. We do have Nigeria, we do have Angola, we do have Sudan, among other different nations of the continent of Africa, really having oil resources that would help people. If they were to be shared equitably, if there wasn't the level of inequality we do have in Nigeria, then perhaps you'd have better sharing of our resources, or equitable sharing of these resources, and we will not have people living in poverty like this. If you go to the Middle East, go to Qatar, go to Dubai, go to Saudi Arabia, you will find that there is a better redistribution of this wealth from their oil. These are dry countries. You will not tell me that in Dubai they're doing a whole lot of farming. These are countries that whose economies are based on the oil. But in the continent of Africa, in Nigeria, in Angola, there is a lot of inequality. You'll find the top political elite, about maybe 6 to 8, or let me just say 6 to 10% of the population, holding most of the wealth, while the rest of the 90% of the population lives in abject poverty. People living below poverty line, not making even barely $2 a day. You're living below $2 a day, and that means that if you have a big family, then that is why they will be susceptible to these kinds of diseases, such as cholera, because you might not be able to provide the water for these households. And that is a challenge that we all have on the continent in Africa. That is why you will see the European coming and talking about they want to provide clean drinking water for different communities, but that is not the work that they're doing on the continent. But that, of course, is a whole story for another different day. The government of Nigeria, people should demand better services in Nigeria from the government as well, because, like I said, the problem of inequality and unequitable distribution of our resources is what has led people to this level. If you go to Saudi Arabia, you will not find people dying from cholera just like that. It's not because they have a lot of water or they have a lot of clean water. would help them achieve much better. Services sector. Apologies, we have had a bit of a hit, but we are back. I wanted to talk about what is happening with the air transport sector on the continent of Africa. Just like with other different continents, the transport sector has gotten a major hit. And we all know this is because of the stopping of the season of transport between different nations. For example, last year, around was it from around April into June, there was a bit of a problem because people were not allowed to fly from one country into another country. So the sector was largely affected. Even before this whole pandemic, took place, the air transport sector on the continent of Africa was struggling. It was really struggling, and most of the air companies or the air travel companies, they were having a bit of a problem making any kind of revenues for their company. For example, with the Kenya Airways, I believe the Kenya Airways has not made any profit for about 8 years. And this is even, like I was saying, prior to the whole COVID-19 global pandemic. There has been a big blow for the Kenya's national carrier as a bailout plan has been turned down. And I can also draw a lot of parallels between the Kenya Airways and the South African Airways. The South African Airways has also been struggling for a very, very long time, and also the Ugandan airline. So the aviation sector worldwide was hit by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, and Kenya has not been any different. Its ailing national airline in the tourism sector has seen the number of international arrivals fall by 71.5% to 579,600 passengers. And now Kenya's national treasury has rejected a proposal by the cash-strapped Kenya Airways, or KQ, for a fresh financial bailout estimated about US 499 million US dollars bailout, spelling doom from the operations of the loss-making national carrier. These will almost certainly have an impact on the tourism sector as well. Now, this also plays out against a backdrop of 2019 plan by the Kenya Airports Authority to grant Kenya Airways permission to manage operations at the Jomo Kenyatta Airport for 30 years. A plan was supposed to see the merger with the state-owned KAA turn around its ailing business and turn Kenya into a regional transport hub, but these will not happen. And the only surviving, let me say the only thriving, not just surviving, but the only thriving company when it comes to air transport on the continent is the Ethiopian Airlines. Ethiopian Airlines has sort of been able to just weather the storm. It has been able to weather the storm, and if you go into the numbers, they have also been able to expand their terminal at the airport terminal in Ethiopia. So it means they're making profits, and they have been able to handle matters in the right way. Let me share with us a little bit of the expansion of the airport terminal in Addis Ababa. And you can see a little bit of a difference between the South African Airways, the Kenya Airways, and the Ethiopian Airlines. Ethiopian Airlines is really doing very, very well. Let me share these with us. I think I have shared these the only driving airline on the continent. Of course, we do have other airlines service in the continent. For example, Qatar.
I think we're unique because now, as you can see,
Qatar Airlines is one of them.
We're not.
This is what was happening with the Ethiopian Airlines.
Ethiopian Airlines to start building a new $5 billion airport. Ethiopian Airlines will start constructing a new $5 billion airport later this year and continue the domination of its national carrier as the most profitable in Africa. This was made known by the chief executive officer as the rapidly expanding carrier outgrows capacity at its current base in Addis Ababa. The airlines recently announced that its new passenger terminal has been successfully opened at its hub, Addis Ababa Bole International Airport. The new airport terminal, funded by China in 2019, has the capacity to handle up to 22 million travelers each year, which is now the largest capacity airport in Africa. In 2018, Addis Ababa Bole International Airport overtook Dubai as the top transit hub for long-haul passengers. To cement their position as the most
profitable. So what has happened is that Ethiopia has been trying to position itself as a regional transport hub on the continent of Africa, and it has actually succeeded. The management of this company has been well done compared to the corruption and the mismanagement with the Kenya Airways. All the South African Airways, they have some of the companies in the air transport companies in Africa have been privatized, but that has not really made any difference for most.
Air carrier on the continent, and also the largest gateway to Africa. Ethiopian Airlines has announced the construction of the $5 billion mega airport, set to be the largest in Africa, and one of the biggest. The airlines recently announced that its new passenger terminal has been successfully opened at its hub, Addis Ababa Bole International Airport. The new airport terminal, funded by China in 2019, has the capacity to handle up to 22 million travelers each year, which is now the largest capacity airport in Africa. In 2018, Addis Ababa Bole International Airport overtook Dubai as the top transit hub for long-haul passengers. The new airport.
So for the family that maybe do purpose to visit the continent, you might have maybe at some point to interact with these airlines, which is the Ethiopian Airlines. And I was saying it's the most successful on the continent of Africa. What you need to realize is that it has not been free of these other challenges that have come out with the pandemic that this struck in 2019. But they have been able really to sort of weather the storm. They have been doing relatively well compared to every other kind of an airline. The South African airline was also one of the ones to beat. The Kenya Airlines was also another of the airlines to beat. The Ugandan airline at some point was doing okay, but everything now went wrong. For most of the reasons, you find that mismanagement is the top reason as to why these airlines do get to fail, and also corruption with the government. That is why you'll find that some of these companies are getting to fail miserably, and that is what was happening for the Kenya Airlines. That has been bailed out a couple of times, but they have not really succeeded with getting out from these financial turmoils that they have been facing. Nonetheless, I want to take us all the way into South Africa. Our focus for today will be South Africa. And there have been the announcement of different lockdown restrictions, adjustments. So restrictions on our movements of people and gatherings have been eased in South Africa following a steady decline in the new COVID-19 infections. The president did come out and made an announcement during an address to the nation, which was was it on Monday? Sorry, not yesterday, but the day before. Ramaphosa said the decrease in the number of new infections as per the decision to move the country to a lower level of restrictions. While the third wave is not yet over, he said we have sustained a decline in infections across the country over the last few weeks. We have the average number of daily new infections over the last week at 29%, lower than the preceding 7 days, which was 48%. And the third wave peaked in Gauteng province far earlier and declined faster than the other provinces. And there was now a marked decline across the provinces. So that is what he said. As of September, he said the total cases was at 2,858,195 being confirmed positive. And he also went on to talk about the new introductions of the COVID passport. Let me share these with us a little bit so that you can see the fear is real. The fear has been spread, and the propaganda machine has also been working for these South African nation, and people are still duped. People have not woken up to realize what is happening with this whole situation with the passport. And also share with us one of the videos as to why I believe the passports will not work not just in South Africa, but even in other parts of Europe. The UK did fight back, and they drew back that particular plan to introduce the passports. But let me share these two videos even as we get winding up the discussion.
Moving on now, shifting our focus to South Africa, where President Cyril Ramaphosa announced distrust in the vaccine. Ramaphosa and people have been fully vaccinated to date in the country, with more than a quarter of all adults giving at least one dose. The country aims to inoculate 40 million South Africans, around 2/3 of the population, by March next year. Authorities have recorded more than 2.8 million coronavirus cases since the pandemic hit, of which at least 84,877 have been fatal. Meanwhile, scientists...
You can see they are talking about a quarter having been vaccinated and they having gotten the first dose, and you can expect that the people getting that number will be more than that quarter that they are talking about.
The country has been keeping tabs on a new homegrown variant with an unusually high mutation that has been dubbed the C12, although its frequency as of now remains low. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on.
That is the government who has been talking about people getting.
What government is that, Spikes?
Economic law.
Sorry, what?
What government is that? My voice is back.
South Africa. It's South Africa. Your voice is gone. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Hold on. My damn earpiece just got out. Damn. Hold on. Let me come back. Go back in. Jesus.
Okay.
Of COVID-19 in terms of GDP and health costs is estimated to be around $16 trillion, according to a study by 2 Harvard University professors. To put that in perspective, that is 90% of total GDP. Clearly, we need to focus on reopening the economy as soon as possible.
And I'm hearing there's talk about a vaccine passport. What is that?
Okay, hear me now, Spike?
Yeah, so this is this kind of futuristic idea of what we actually have a requirement.
Where's this at? See, this is the Rothschild and Rockefeller owned media talking about how futuristic, how great it is. The South Africans have fucked themselves because they're now carrying spike protein. Their bodies are generating viruses over and over and over and over again. And what they've now also done is made themselves susceptible to every illness on the planet. So there's going to be a mass die-off in South Africa.
Yeah, the immunity has been lowered with these jabs that they are taking. So it means that
there is no immunity. Not just lowered spikes, it's decimated. They have no immunity. It does not exist. They have no immunity spikes at all. So if you get a bug bite, you'll die. Let's say a spider bites you. Spider bit me. I'm cleaning the house. A spider bit me. You're gonna die. You destroyed your own immunity system. And isn't it funny, Spikes? The one who's pushing this shit throughout Africa, Bill Gates ass, who started this dumb shit. He's a Rockefeller agent. He never vaccinated none of his children, Spikes, ever. Ever.
He knows the danger, so but he will push it. I was saying, even if you happen to get, if you happen to get bit by a centipede, like I was bit by a centipede in Dar es Salaam, you might as well take the cat.
You're dead. You're dead, Spikes. You're dead there like 2 years. That's almost 2 years. You get bit by a centipede, Spikes, you're dead.
Yeah, then you're taking a that nap. Your body and antibodies do not know what to do, and they just go to a whole
you know exactly. They decimate the antibodies. They decimate. You don't have any antibody. So you just walk around the house. You don't know what's under your chair. That centipede just out your ass. It can cause you to die now. Like, God damn, what happened to him? He got bit by a centipede. Why is he laying in the hospital all fucked up then? Hey, get that vaccination.
People. We were showing a bit of a video last week that was trying to talk about how this can reverse, but the South Africans are way too good. This is the Rothschild media, so they will be pushing for the nonsense, talking like it's futuristic. It's not futuristic. If the people of South Africa are not too careful, they will also find this being taken, this nonsense, this ideology also being taken to them, and they will not be able to move anything. They might be told, oh, we need to open up the economy. The economy is dying. That is why we need to jab everyone and give them the passports, because the economy, you will not have an economy to boost when you're dead.
We should get a certificate of vaccination before we can do things. It's pretty clear that vaccination certificates are moving forward. And given that, how do we do it right?
What if we were to be required to prove employers
Come again, kid. You're breaking up. I think you're in a bad internet area or something. It might be your connectivity on your end. Maybe it's on my end. I'm not sure on what particular side we do have that problem with the connectivity. I'm not sure whether you can hear me, kid, but if not, I will still share a bit of what was happening with Ramaphosa and what he had to say regarding this whole particular move. I think we lost our kid, but it's all good. I hope he think it's a connectivity in his on his side. But let me share these videos so you can
Let's
see.
speak to our political editor, Mzwandile Mbeje now. Mzwa, give us more of what's expected.
A very good evening to you, Francis. Indeed, I think it's a foregone conclusion that when the president speaks to the nation in the next 45 minutes, he will ease restrictions. We know that in less than 50 days, the country will go to the election. And of course, you need to create at least an environment that will allow some sort of political activity, because right now at level.
These are his updates.
As a nation in 1 week, in the work we are doing in the healthcare system in one of our provinces. Between the dates COVID-19 that week had been vaccinated. This means that 699 of those who were admitted with COVID-19 were not vaccinated. And of the 292 people above the age of 60 who died from COVID-19
who died of COVID-19, this moron is talking about is an absolute lie. I don't know. I know I'm a puppet. And what I'm saying is an absolute lie, because my white masters have told me to say the shit so I keep my job and keep my cushy money. I am a complete moron and a puppet of white people. I keep saying the same dumb shit when COVID does not exist, because it's never been isolated in any lab. I've been told that too. I know it's a lie, but I got to keep the lie to keep my job. And black people, please take the vaccine and die, so I won't have to take the dirt nap too. I don't give a shit about African people. That's why I got the job. That's why I'm here talking rubbish. I'm talking absolute rubbish. Rubbish, you hear me? Rubbish. Go ahead, Spike. I think I lost Spikes again. My internet area is bad. And my voice is just gone. Man, my voice is gone. Man, I've been in this damn rain forever. Stop traffic 3 miles ahead. Damn. Rain, 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 and more goddamn rain. Damn hurricane, tropical storm, whatever you call it. Shit's all throughout the Gulf Coast. Oh, shit. Hello, General Mosquito. What's going on, Orlando? How you brothers doing? Hopefully well. Damn. Raining, windy. It's all fucked up out here. I would have figured that. He's always been a groomed puppet anyway. They groomed that puppet. Talking the same dumb shit. Every African is talking the same dumb shit. Copy paste by the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. But the Corbett's and the family, blah, 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 blah. All that shit is a lie. All of it. Lie after lie after lie after lie. And like I said, where's the fake counter-revolutionary Julius Malema? Where his fake ass at? Where's this fake ass Asian ass Negro at? Where's he at? Always fund the opposition puppets. Always. If they do, oh, you get you all excited about, oh, he's talking some righteous shit. It was clearly controlled opposition. Why would the white people want to kill us? They would have been killed us. Why would they want to do it now? Shut up, moron. Oh, my voice is bad. Oh my God. This goddamn traffic in this rain. Shit. I said Spike's gonna come back in here. Oh, he might not. He might think it was already an hour. And he does, so. So, fam, I'm gonna wrap this up. It's a Spike show, shit. And my voice My voice is gone. So everybody have a wonderful day until later on. So I'll see you guys later on this afternoon show in about 4 or 5 more hours. Oh, shit. Damn, man. So much love and peace to everybody. I'm out. What happened with Lita is also married to a what? A multiracial female and pro-LGBT. He found litmus test. Oh, of course he does. I know he's married to another multiracial. Well, I know he's fucked up when he was supporting that LGBTQ shit years ago. These motherfuckers supports all this debauchery ass shit that's made to destroy African people. Because white people told him to do it. The white people funding back his ass. All this debaucherous ass shit. Yeah. It's always all smoke. It's always nothing more than smoke and mirrors with these people. Smoke and mirrors. They're funded by both sides. Oh, he's the opposite. No, he's controlled opposition. He's not opposition. Nor was he ever meant or designed to be any real opposition. He's a stopgap. He's a stopgap to let you blow off some steam while actually really doing not a damn thing. The stopgap. We get to blow up steam with Jules Molina saying some real things. Then you go critically into this dude. You say, oh, this dude's counterintuitive to what you're trying to do. He's a double agent. He's counterintuitive to what you're actually trying to do. He's controlled opposition. And now all these motherfuckers have been exposed with this COVID-19 scam. That they're nothing more than copy and paste puppets of the New World Order is what they are. Copy and paste puppets of the power structure that runs the globe. That's why Jules Molina then shut the fuck up and got awful quiet. He's trying to keep his credibility. He thinks if you keep quiet, it's to save his ass and save his credibility. But it will not. Been exposed as a fraudulent puppet he always has been. So with that, fam, I'm saying everybody have a good app. Wherever you're at, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.